There are moments in the life of any institution that will forever be marked as special. And for us at Macalester, this visit from His Holiness the Dalai Lama will be one of those moments. The opportunity to have him share time with us, the alignment between his work, his values, his spirit, and what we try to accomplish at this college is deep, and so it means an extraordinary amount to us to have him here with us today. There are about 3,500 of you in the room today. My guess is that 10 years from now, 35,000 will claim to have been here. We would like to begin today by presenting an honorary degree from Macalester College to His Holiness. Provost Kathy Murray will join me in the presentation of the degree. His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, Tibetan spiritual leader, Buddhist monk, scholar, author, advocate for global peace. You were born in 1935 in a Tibetan farming village. Recognized at the age of 2 as the reincarnation of the 13th Dalai Lama, you began your monastic education at the age of 6. In 1950, at age 15, you assumed the role of Tibet's political leader when China asserted control over the region. In 1959, the response to Tibetan protests of Chinese involvement forced you to flee Tibet and seek refuge in northern India, where you established a Tibetan government in exile. You retired from duties as the Tibetan diaspora's political leader in 2011, but continued to provide spiritual guidance. Living in exile in India for more than 5 decades, you have been a tireless advocate for Tibetans. You have traveled internationally to speak at hundreds of conferences and workshops. Speaking to audiences of many backgrounds, you stress the universal importance of dialogue, education, empathy, and tolerance. You promote greater interfaith and cross-cultural communication and harmony. You emphasize compassion as a key to a happy life. As a spiritual leader with a great curiosity about and respect for science, you advocate for more scientific research into meditation and spirituality, that findings may guide us on the path to global peace. You are a scholar and the author or co-author of more than 100... Just so you know, this thing is shaking, which is kind of interesting. You are a scholar and the author or co-author. I knew it would be special standing next to His Holiness, but I didn't realize the ground would actually shake. You are a scholar and the co-author or author of more than 110 books, including New York Times bestsellers, The Art of Happiness and Ethics for the New Millennium. Yet you also travel extensively to be present in person among the young people who will play a critical role in the world's future. In 1989, you were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in recognition of your advocacy for nonviolence and the effort for Tibetan liberation. You were also the first Nobel laureate to be recognized for your concern for global environmental degradation. In 2007, you were presented with the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian award bestowed by American lawmakers. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, in honor of your advocacy for the Tibetan people and your lifelong dedication to teaching global peace and compassion, Macalester College is proud to bestow upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Thank you. respected elder brothers and sisters, and younger sisters and brothers, I'm extremely happy to see a meeting with also the public, and particularly now in this case, young student or youth. So when I'm mixing with young people, young brothers, sisters, firstly, I really feel you are the real the shaping of new world, right? Shaper. Oh. This is just the beginning of 21st century. So over 80 years yet to come. Only 14 years. Now only 13 years passed. Now this is the 14th. Right? So time always moving. No force can stop. Time always moving. Then past, already past. Only we can learn from past experience. Otherwise, no possibility to change or to make new shape. But future, very possible to create new shape. So basically, some historians say 20th century, in 20th century, through violence, over 200 millions of people killed. So we can say 20th century, in spite of some other many positive things there, but one aspect of 20th century is too much bloodshed, too much violence, too much suffering. So that immense violence really creates some new, so-called new order or new shape, happier or better shape. Then some may argue, oh, immense violence brought good result. But that is not the case. Only suffering. And I think the very nature of violence is unpredictable side effects. Once you involve violence, then chain reaction, violence after violence, like that. I think, frankly speaking, September 11th event in this country, in New York, in Washington, the reaction more violence and use force. So at that time, actually, since I know President Bush, as a human level, as a human being, very nice person. And once we met, we immediately become good human friends. Really, wonderful person. But then, some of his policy, after Iraq crisis, one occasion I met, and then I told him, I respect you, I love you, but some of your policy, I have some reservation. And he smiled. Because we very much so close one another, a friendship. Yeah. So his motivation, wonderful. Bring democracy, freedom in Iraq. So very good aim and good motivation, but method wrong. Use force. So actually, September 11th, that tragedy happened. The next day, 12th September, I wrote letter. As my longtime friend, I express my deep sorrow, sad. At the meantime, because I know him, so I mentioned, I hope they sort of, dealing or response about this tragedy, hopefully more non-violent way. But then, I think due to some of his advisors. So, in any way, you see, in spite, good goal, good motivation, but because of violent method, unexpected consequences happen. So, I think broadly speaking, beginning of 21st century, and the Kosovo War, and then Iraq, or these things, then now today, even the Ukraine, all these, there's a crisis in Syria, all this killing, violence, I feel a result or symptom of the past negligence, past mistake. So, 20th century, not only is it carry violent century, but some impact even remain beginning of 21st century. So, since violence always brings some difficulties or problems, will not solve the problem. Therefore, now in order to bring this 21st century, a peaceful century, we must build this century should be century of dialogue. Because peace does not mean no longer any problem, no longer any conflict. No. So long human beings remain, always possible different interests or disagreements, always there. So the potential of conflict or violence, always there. So problem there. Meantime, we do not want violence. So then only choice is any problem, deal through non-violent way, through dialogue, talk. Not relying on a weapon, but relying on truth, honest, ultimately sense of concern about their well-being. So that's the basis of strong will of dialogue. If you carry dialogue, strong feeling, defeat the other, you won't get successful dialogue. Successful dialogue, you must respect their interest, their right. And also, you see, keep your own interest. So, some kind of reconciliatory approach. Then, even compromise. So therefore, this century should build century of dialogue. I think source of problem increasing. Firstly, population increasing. When I firstly came to India as a refugee in 59 and 60s, we used to say human population 6 billion, now 7 billion. Now, end of this century, human population will reach 10 billions. meantime, even 7 billion, huge gap rich and poor. Not only global level, but also national level, there are gap rich and poor. This is not only morally wrong, but practically also source of problem. So we have to deal how to reduce this gap. Then I think maybe America may be better, but many countries, corruption is immense. So sometimes I describe corruption is one kind of cancer of the humanity, society. So, and then nature resources. Because of climate change, nature resources also problem. The energy, drinking water, all this, I think problem will increase. Then nature disaster also will increase. So, I think you younger people must think with some kind of expectation, our life will not be easy. So things more complicated. The more complicated, we need more determination, awareness, holistic. So I'm very happy meeting with young people. You are the basis of our hope. People, young people, are the generation of the 21st century. We, including elder brothers, sisters, we are generation of 20th century. So we are ready to say bye-bye. Or at least, if may I say so, our generation, I think, create a lot of problem on this planet. So now, let this 21st generation, let them solve these problems. So you are really very, very important. So when I met young people, I really feel this is the source of hope. Within 20th century, I think the human thinking, time passes, much changed, becoming much more mature. So you, these young people, with help of different information, I think in your mind, world, I think seems small because of technology. Elder generation, I think American, and look, Europe, very far. Asia, even far. Africa, also far. That kind of mentality now changing. Every part of the world is part of small planet. Something happened there. The repercussion reached here. Something happened here. The repercussion reached there. So that's today's reality. So, young people, I think you, because of the new reality, I think you can easily understand the new reality, heavily interdependent, interconnected. This one thing. The second thing, now when I first come to India as a refugee, and my age, 24, now nearly 79. So when I meet young people, and I also feel younger. When we met old people, it almost looks like you go first or I go first? Sorry. So I'm very happy, you see, having this meeting, really. And then you give me this honorary degree. I very much appreciate. Thank you. Thank you very much. And before I came on small group, students, neuroscience students, so they also give me some kasa.
Statement of appreciation.
Oh, so I feel great honor. Thank you. Now, in order to create peaceful century through dialogue, so in order to develop century of dialogue, we need willpower. Willpower, determination comes if you think well-being of others and recognize everyone have right to achieve happy life. Then you can develop will, determination. Any problem, have to find solution through talk. If you too much sort of stress, we and they, big distance, then concept of bully, concept of violence, killing come. Because your interest not related with their interest. So they really harmful your own interest. So destroy them. That's the concept of war. Now today's reality, no longer that. As I mentioned earlier, global warming, global economy, and all these matters heavily interdependent. Now, time comes, we have to think one world, different color, different nationality, different system, different kind of religious faith. It's secondary. We have to think 7 billion human beings, same human being. So we need conviction or sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. That we need to educate. Now, future, you see, as I mentioned earlier, there is potential of many difficulties. So these difficulties for humanity, not individual nations or individual people. So we need full cooperation. In order to take full cooperation, we need sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. Oneness. So their interest is my interest. My interest, their interest. My problem, also their problem. Their problem, also my problem. So, you young people, while you week by week, even day by day, even hour by hour, you see, you are learning new things. So meantime, you should think, you see, these basic sort of, I say human values or human natures, I think very, very important. That I want to tell you. That's the theme.
Happiness.
So, happiness, just to see, we coming here, because
Neuroscience Lama.
neuroscientist, student of neuroscience. I mentioned briefly. Also, also the joyfulness or satisfaction. There are two kinds, two levels. One level through sensorial experiences, seeing something nice things, including sports. You see that and feel satisfaction or happy. And music,
Listen.
that moment feel happy. And as soon as sports or the music stop, then no longer only memory, no longer real sort of happy sort of experience. So because that level of satisfaction is entirely dependent on sensorial experiences. Now, another level, and then also, we have this, everybody have the experience. While you listen music, on surface level, you feel some relax, but still, in the mental level, worry or stress, concern. So now, deeper level of our experiences not depend on sensorial experiences, mental itself. Now that's more serious. Obviously, even the physical pain can subdue by mental peace or mental strength. Mental level, also the experience, sadness, cannot subdue by physical comfort. Actually, when physician, doctor, or our friend, when advise us, you take, relax, rest. Rest means actually the mental level completely relax. That's real relax. Mental level, much worry, much anxiety. Physical level, just lay down on comfortable bed. It's not relaxed. So that we must make distinction, especially those neuroscientists. Now you should think more. You should research that. So mental level experience are much more serious. So mental level comfort, relax is mental level more wider sort of perspective, more holistic. And then with help of holistic sort of view, and holistic means wider and longer, long-term interest. Then that brings conviction, warm-heartedness, sense of concern over others' well-being, or another word, compassion, tolerance. These, then this really source of inner strength. Through practice of compassion, through practice of sense of concern of others' well-being, when you really develop sense of concern of others' well-being, then no room to cheat other people, to bully other people, to exploit other people, because you yourself really, voluntarily taking care about their well-being. So automatically, as soon as you take more sort of sense of well-being of others, the inner strength develop, self-confidence develop, that reduce fear, and stress reduce. Your mind calm. Too much think oneself. and don't bother about others' right. And because of your own sort of view, your own attitude, you also get the feeling, oh, others also have that kind of sort of attitude. So that creates fear, distrust. Result, you get feeling of loneliness, helpless. That's against the human nature. We are social animals. Even other mammals, no intelligence, biologically, you see, they have the sense of community, work together, share together. We biologically social animals, but sometimes our intelligence guided wrong way. So then, self-centered attitude, just me, 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 me. So long run, it's very, very harmful for your peace of mind or inner strength. So long run, such sort of mental state really very, very harmful for our physical health. Now medical scientists, they found constant fear, constant anger is actually eating our immune system. So on the other hand, more compassionate, more warm-heartedness, you see, immense help to sustain our health and health improve. So some medical scientists now they say healthy mind is a very important factor for a healthy body. So the real sort of joyful life, happy life, very much related with our inner value, irrespective whether believe religion or not. So long we are a social animal. So long we all come from our mother. Our early life grow with mother's affection or parents' affection. So we all have the same experience, sort of tremendous sort of appreciation of others' kindness. I think very word help, nice word. Harm, negative word. Harm comes. The other think, self-centered attitude. Don't bother about other, then harm. Help, respect others' right. Share their problem and come to help. So therefore, irrespective whether believer or non-believer, you should pay more attention about this inner value in order to have more successful, happy life. Change the whole environment take time and difficult. But no matter what environment, we can change our mental attitude so that same environment we can maintain peace of mind. We can notice, we can examine. Same situation, some people more happier, some people much anxious. That depends on the mind, not the environment. Clear? So it is really worthwhile. This marvelous human intelligence must utilize for maintaining inner peace, inner strength. Sometimes education alone creates more anxiety, more ambition, more anxiety. So sometimes this very intelligent person, too much sort of expectation or something and doubt, then nervous breakdown happen. So education alone, no guarantee you get good health or happy person or happy family. I often telling, now here I think worthwhile, the young girls, young females here. So, see, you usually you take care your external beauty. Yes, it is important. Some different colors or because lipsticks are there. Lipsticks. I often, you see, sort of teasing when we have some television sort of interview. It's usually they put some sort of that.
Makeup.
Or something. Then I also, you see, teasing them, oh, please, lipstick for my father. So then the external beauty, no doubt important, but real beauty is inner beauty. I think my visit this country since 7 or 9, from time to time. Later, even I think annually, it's coming here. So it happened. See, first visit one couple. The next time, after a few years, new wife. Then after a few years, another wife. So divorce means, you see, at the beginning, physical attraction, physical beauty, marry. Then time passes, lack of inner beauty now showing. So ugliness of inner ugliness come. Too much jealousy, too much humble. Competition, these things happen. You see, some of my friend, after divorce, actually, you see, they told me, after marry, even some children, spend more time, more distrust, more suspicion. So this clearly shows lack of inner beauty. I think nobody, start marry for preparation of divorce. Don't think. Even if with Christians or a priest, you make some kind of pledge. Happy marriage, long-lasting marriage.
For life.
For life. So, successful marriage means whole life. So that very much depends on inner beauty. I often used to telling one story. In early 60s, one Tibetan monk official, eventually he disrobed. A very trusted sort of, very good, devoted sort of worker or official. So after he disrobed, and I teased him, your wife not so much attractive. I teased him. Then he responded me, yes, physically not much attractive, but inner beauty is very good. Then I have nothing to argue. So he quite wise, you see, to respond me that way. So, happy marriage, happy family, very much depend on warm-heartedness. Friendship entirely depend on trust. Trust depend on compassionate attitude, like that. So, that's my talk. Now some questions, answers. How to manage? Thank you. Thank you. Sit down. You collected questions?
I did.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Your Holiness. I feel very much more inspired and very much more old. Can I ask you if you ever get angry, and if you do, how you make sure that that anger doesn't get translated into negative emotions and negative reactions?
Yes, I do.
Get angry.
Get angry. So if you want more detail, then ask my staff member. You see, they witness some occasion they got sort of good harsh word. And I think a little bit sort of because of the
Stern face.
like that. But most cases, for small matter, I got to September, but more serious, not much. I don't know. Then in any case, one temper or anger develop. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes I watch anger itself. We have the ability, certain emotion develop, and you try to separate and watch that emotion. That practice, very, very helpful. Then intensity of the negative emotion, then weakened. Usually, you see the problem, when we negative emotion, you see develop, then whole your mind become dead.
Get taken over.
Or taken over. So, that one method. And then, mainly, your basic training. If you have sort of firm conviction, anger, hatred, jealousy, these are destructive emotion. Once you have firm sort of conviction out of awareness, then anger come, but remain weak, then very short. So mind, mental emotion, also like it's a matter. This is matter. Now, for example, physical sort of level, certain sort of proteins or immune system, these are strong. Then virus may not disturb much. When you see these basic sort of element, immune system weak, then virus, even small virus, you see, create a lot of trouble. So similarly, basic your mental sort of attitude, healthy, strong. Then anger like virus, come, go, will not disturb much. So that we can do. We have the ability. Firstly, we need clear awareness, the pros and cons, you see, these different emotions. Once we have more sort of awareness, value of compassion, as I mentioned earlier, then even dream, you have some kind of sort of, or say the mental attitude to bring to closer these positive emotions. Then anger, even dream, a little bit sort of distance, reluctant, like that. So it helps. That way, very helpful.
Your Holiness, you said something I think very important about education when you're speaking. So many of us in here are engaged as students, as teachers in the work of education. And you said that education, though it makes you smarter, it doesn't always make you more compassionate. So what lessons would you have for us as educators, as students, as teachers, that might help us create a form of education that will make us more compassionate?
Education, as I mentioned earlier, you see really, because of the the method to develop our intelligence. So education, actually, the very purpose of education is reduce gap between appearances and reality. So education, wonderful. But I'm saying existing modern education is very much oriented about material value, not
Inner values.
not sort of
Pay attention.
sufficient pay attention about our inner value. I think it is quite understandable. 1,000 years ago, in the European continent, a separate education institution started. I remember Bologna University in Italy. A few years ago, you see, they celebrated 1,000
year.
1,000 year. So they asked me, you see, I participated, and like that. So at that time, 1,000 years ago, the moral ethics church take full care, sufficient. And family value also you should take care about these things. Then gradually time passes, and particularly last 200-300 years, you see the science and technology develop. Then people pay much attention about technology or science, these things. Then education also now provide promotion of these sort of knowledge. So, and church, influence from the church, a little bit of decline. And family values also sometimes is difficult. So therefore, nobody now take care about these inner value. So institution alone education institution alone have the responsibility to take care of both brain development and development of warm-heartedness. So that part, that's the reality, but education institutions still carry the
Old way, Lama.
old way, only taking care about material things. So inadequate. So now, last over a decade, number of medical scientists and also educationists and also brain specialists now begin to see the education about warm-heartedness is so necessary, so important. So they carry as a sort of pilot project. Experiment. So result become very, very convincing. Even you see 3 weeks, some kind of training and education about importance of warm-heartedness. Before they start that sort of training. They examine blood pressure and stress, these things. And after 3 weeks training, again check, blood pressure reduce. Stress also much reduce. As a result, person become much happier. So some scientists, some university, Wisconsin University, and Emory University, and Stanford University, and some other. Actually, you see, carrying some experiment. So result, scientifically, now they found quite concrete sort of result. Mental attitude can change through training, through awareness. So that, hopefully, eventually are because of education institutions, at least in some section, should start that. Then look, after a few years, what the result? If really obvious sort of positive result, then you can expand, you should do more. Like that. That's my view. So education is no question, very good. But existing education system is not complete or not adequate.
Thank you, Your Holiness. You're, I think, distinctive among spiritual leaders in the extent to which you weave science into your discussions of spirit and faith and religion. And that is something that both in this country and around the world we tend not to do very well. It is the source of many struggles. And one of our students asked you about that in the conversation before you began your talk. And I thought it would be worth asking you that question again because I think your answer is so important. But how do you think about the relation between religion, spirituality, faith, and science?
Recently, I think 2 years ago, I met one group, Muslim, from a few Arab countries. Most of them teachers, including some women. I think Dubai, some of the, and also Jordan, is the more liberal. So I think education equal, male and female. Some area, a little bit of difficulties. So in any way, that group, some female teachers also there. So then, one member of that delegation is asked me, science and religious faith, some difficulties. Then I responded, no, should not. Science dealing with matters. Religion dealing with inner value. So simply two different fields. Faith combined with compassion, dealing with inner value. Science, molecules are
Molecules and
these physical. So up to now, science mainly is the thing which can measure and calculate, and third person, observe third person. Now, later part of 20th century and the beginning of this 21st century, some scientists now begin to carry more research in deeper level. Now, some scientists, now their attitude is open question. Mind or emotion is something essentially something separate from brain. There's still open question. Some classic scientists, they say, oh, immediately reject. One time in this country, I think one hospital or something, some doctors, I remember, so just as a casual talk.
medical scientist.
Medical scientist. Ina? I think medical scientist. So, actually, you see, some doctor, then I just tell them or discuss. It seems our daily experience is sometimes, some sort of thoughts. No, this is some physical sort of change that creates certain emotions. It is true. Sometimes, you see, it seems physically nothing happened, but some memory or some thought or ideas come that change our physical element. It seems it happened. So then I mentioned, I asked, I remember two doctors. They say, oh, it seems,
So they said it seems like that to be the case,
but
that can't be.
This is a little bit sort of fixed sort of attitude. Now some scientists are now not like that. They say they're open. They truly, I think, scientists observe objectively. So some scientists, the old thinking, they say, oh, it should not happen. Something like order. That's difficult. So So therefore, now science, I think week by week further develop, carry research, experiment. So I think I often is telling my scientist sort of friend that up to now, this field, the science developed and still carrying on certain field. Now that gradually widened, including some mysterious sort of things such as emotion or these things. So I think after next a few decades, I think scientific research will reach more deeper level.
Thank you. Your Holiness, I think sometimes that...
So then also, you see, I mentioned, you see, the religious concept, though according to theistic religion, the creator, such thing, either, you see, because of the proof existing of creator, or because of the disproof, you cannot do. This is beyond science.
Science can neither prove the existence of God nor disprove the existence of God.
So simply two separate things. Faith dealing with inner value, science dealing with matters. So it should not
be seen as a conflict.
And certain level beyond science, like that.
Okay. Thank you. I think sometimes that for all of the negative emotions that we can direct toward other people, the ones that may be most destructive are the ones we direct toward ourselves. We have a lot of trouble dealing, I think, as human beings with failure. It's particularly true in environments like this where we are so driven by success. Has there been a time in your life where you've had to deal with failure, and what lessons have you learned from that you could perhaps share with the rest of us?
Karsha, what? I think these things, the realistic approach. Firstly, you see, it is very important to carry research seriously, think more wider perspective, and ask the opinion of different people. Then seems something can achieve. Then start. In most cases, because you thoroughly research, so your approach become more realistic. So most cases, not much disappointment. Some aim, some goal, without thorough investigation, just out of wishful thinking, and make attempt, fail. Then it's more regret. Then also, Tibetan medicine. Looks like sweet. The taste is very bad. Or Tibetan medicine, I regularly take as a preventive measure, and also, you see, building because of the body element more balance. Very, very helpful. Some emergencies or illness, and then allopathic medicine, including surgery, wonderful. that's good.
데이터 간데 급가실이야.
This is.
맞아 붙이자.
Oh. So, I think in my case, I usually, you see, first I think myself, and then also ask, you see, when I was in Tibet, after I took the responsibility, political responsibility, some important decision, firstly, I myself think. Then ask, including sweeper, what do you think? I ask their opinion. Then, of course, the concerned officials also. So then, decide. Then, no problem. No regret. Because I consult. And also I study very carefully. Then reach decision. No problem. And also very important thing is purpose or motivation. Sincere motivation. Good purpose. Even fail, no regret. So sometimes, one my friend, a driver, he was hired from India when I was in Tibet. I think his head
It's more bold than now.
than me. So one day, he working something, managing about a car underneath. So then somehow his bald head is something hit.
Banged. Banged. He banged his head.
He lost his temper, and further, bang. Who suffer? Car never suffer. His head suffer. Foolish. Sometimes some people, you see, angry, or angry himself or herself, sometimes do that. Silly. That I never do. I never done. Quite realistic. In spite of sort of something failure myself, and hit my own head is suffer myself more. Like that. Yes. Then next.
Your Holiness, we have time for one more question, and I'd like to ask you something very important. A lot of people care about this question. What do you think is the greatest sport in the world?
That, I think, that question, I think if you ask me, wrong person. I have not much interest in these things. So I don't know who is Hazada.
말하던 스포츠 전문으로는 전문 그 약속 가는 건 제적으로 해서 전문으로.
Oh, not much interest. Oh, when I was China, in Peking. In Peking, I start ping pong. Then actually, I play with Zhong Ale,
Chinese Prime Minister.
Chinese Prime Minister at that time.
Pinball.
Ping pong. And I think one secret here, I know, you see, his, I think, right hand, something wrong. So I can beat him. So with that kind of calculation, I play with him. I can't remember. You say, how long? I can't remember. Like that. So then also the badminton.
Badminton, yeah.
In 59 and early 60, yes, I did a little bit. Then not much interest. Like that. And of course, I think a Tibetan monk, 자사들이 볼을 쳤는데 땀다 같이, 아니 볼을 치도 얼른 当家就是可这他人种的，你点个也没觉得。
So in Tibet, when people were beginning to start playing soccer, the monks did not know the rules, so they would walk around, and when they find a ball, they just kick it, and feeling that the farthest you can kick, you have won it.
No rule, nothing, no knowledge. And then, you see, cricket somewhere.
Cricket now.
Cricket. One day, a few years ago, in India, the local people arranged some, I think international.
It's
Some
the-
Britishers also used to come.
Indian Premier League,
Oh.
IPL.
So the chief minister, the local high officials also there. So they invited me. I attend. And then I asked, who are losing, who are winning? I don't know. With such sort of ignorance, I attended. You see, that sort of
Tournament.
open ceremony like that. Then when people do that, I also join, without knowing what's really going on.
Well, Your Holiness, thank you so much for
Okay.
being with us. It's been
Thank you.
such an honor.
Thank you. So young people should think more seriously. Now, it is not time. It is not time.
Not the time.
Not the time we just take for granted. Up to now, sort of a way of life, way of thinking, can work continuously. The future of
The world, Lama.
world. Reality is changing, as I mentioned earlier. So we have to open our mind and think more seriously, and we must act according to the new reality. That's very, very important. I think many problems, the reality much changed, but our perception still remain old thinking. So our action become unrealistic. So unexpected result, consequences happen. So young people, now I think we old people, now time come rest. So the young people should carry more research work, more analyze. Very, very important, isn't it? Very important.
Yes, I agree. Thank you very much, Your Holiness.